So Tom Brady retires, holds a parade, they announce his retirement. I come on something called YouTube and I tell all of you, Tom Brady's not retiring. As a matter of fact, he's not even going to miss a season. He'll be here next year. Now, you laughed at me. You gave me a hard time. But I was the same guy who had told you that the 2020 Olympics that were announced canceled by everybody, including the broadcast owner, NBC. I came in and told you, no, they're going to have the Olympics. They're just going to do it later. They'll do it in 2021. The quad will happen, and it will right into 2024. Separation of three. I told you guys these things. I told you guys believe all victims except Amber Heard. They're going to deem her a liar. I told you these things. I don't get these things wrong. Now, just in fairness to myself, because I'm seeing a dialogue going around that is so baffling to me that Elon Musk is going to be forced to buy Twitter. And you're having legal experts. Now, there was a dum-dum. He goes by the name of Cramer. It's like Jim Cramer. If you want to lose your money fast, right, this guy will make you feel like Brewster's Millions, but not for nothing. He's still got a voice. He's still got a name. I just produced it for you. I created some image in your head. You have some idea. And many other people are coming on saying that Elon Musk doesn't have a leg to stand on, that he's going to have to buy this. Now, you can look into the law much like you can look into science, or if you can use something that's more effective than both, it's called logic, okay? Now, I get that you guys don't know the law. Most people don't. I'm from a family of attorneys. The people in my family that are attorneys don't find the law as interesting as I do. They just don't. You got fellow fighters in the back that don't have any idea about the unified rules. Charles Oliveira had no idea when he got on the scale at 155 and a half pounds that he was going to be leaving his belt. I mean, just in all fairness, there's people that do that they don't know anything about it. Or they don't know it as well as that you might think. Let me give you guys Elon Musk is not going to have to buy Twitter. Hard stop. You can get out right there. But you are seeing a narrative, you are seeing the wave saying that he's going to have to buy it, that there's no way out, that he'll be forced to buy it is right now. This is the current, this moment narrative. He will be forced to buy it. Now, people that are a little bit smarter have hedged their bet differently, which is Musk put up $1 billion of what's called earnest money to show that he was earnest, that he was sincere. Here's $1 billion, and if I don't go through with the deal, you get to keep your company and you get to keep my $1 billion. Great. Do you know how earnest money works? And I don't attempt to condescend to you. There's only a couple times in life that you'll ever deal with it. If you were to buy real property, it would be very traditional that you would have something called an earnest money agreement. Now, I'm out here in Oregon. There is no such thing. And I don't suggest for you that the agreement doesn't exist and that people don't sign them every single day. There's no such thing. I have met realtors who've been down in the dumps because their clients did not fulfill a bargain and lost their earnest money because X date expired. And I will just stand there and I will listen to them. I'll tell them, oh, that's too bad. And I'll think inside, you're a really dumb person. So I just want to understand how this works because it's just basic logic, okay? Just use the earnest money example because Musk had to put up $1 billion. If I'm going to buy your house, guys, okay, and here's my $10,000 to show that I'm earnest, and the date that I'm supposed to do it by elapses, I may agree as the person that's at fault. You will agree as the person that wants released that money. Neither of us has the ability. I could be in complete agreement with you and you could show me the contract and show me the date and I could look down at my calendar on my watch and see that I've passed it. I don't have the ability to be wrong there. And you don't have the ability to be right. Only a disinterested third party known as a judge can make that ruling. So anybody in the history of ever that has forfeited earnest money, you are a fool. And the other side of the coin is quite a bit of leverage, which is if you're contesting and you're saying that we're still in contract and you're trying to force a negotiation and agreement and a purchase between us, you're also saying you're not going to sell to anybody else if you get a better offer. So Elon Musk wants to buy Twitter for $42 billion, and a lot of you people think that he should be forced to do it. Now, Twitter's worth about $27 billion, but a lot of people think you force him to pay the 42. So if you're a shareholder of Twitter, and that's really what you believe the right thing to do is, if you get an offer from $50 billion, you cannot accept this offer because you're contractually already in a negotiation with Musk that you find to be binding. And let me tell you just how fast Twitter would dance right out of that one. Oh no, we've got no agreement. He didn't fulfill. Mr. Musk, take your $1 billion back. No, there's no deal here. Look, this is expired. Which, I mean, if this was a normal deal, this is this is one of the biggest purchases in the history of time. If it was something a little bit smaller, Elon would have just called one of his rich buddies and told them to go do that very thing. Go offer Twitter $50 billion. Twitter cannot accept that. Not even on an earnest money, not even on a contingency. They could not accept that at all until they have no deal with Musk. You guys have heard the expression. Since the time you were a little kid, you've heard the expression that possession is 9/10 of the law. It's true. 9/10 of the law is possession. So now imagine what you're trying to agree with the experts on TV that they're going to force Musk to buy this. Taking his $1 billion that is sitting in escrow, that he doesn't have the ability to pull off the table, that a judge could release. Okay, you can have that conversation, but that's not the one they're having. They're saying they're going to force him to buy it. Think about that in your life and tell me if that would ever make sense. There's a steak dinner right there on the table. Guy says, you owe me $100. You go, but I didn't eat it. I'm not paying you the $100, but I'm not going to eat it. I don't have a way to get somebody to force you to give me the $100. And then what? I teleport that steak into your body? What if it's a car? You never come and take possession of the car. I force you to pay me for the car, then I force you behind the wheel and I seatbelt you. It doesn't make any kind of sense. So not only are you ignoring one of the most basic principles, which is possession is 9/10 of the law, you're acting as though Elon is going to have to buy, and then what? He must take possession of it? He must become the boss? He must take the keys? He must have the servers? It's silly. It's against logic. Musk does not have to buy Twitter. Twitter filed an SEC filing claiming they had 5% bots. That turned out to not be true. Now, under anything done by the SEC, that's considered fraud, and somebody will go to jail in handcuffs. They're not doing that here. Let that go. There's enough mistake. It's hard enough to come up with. They didn't write it as hard to come up with. They didn't write it was a mistake. They wrote there was 5%. Elon relied on that. Now it turns out, according to them themselves, that number is way off. Elon Musk does not have to buy Twitter.